All right, what's up, y'all? Oh, welcome to the Muscle Hustle podcast. I'm here by myself. Coco left me today, so I'm here with my guys. We're gonna introduce each other from left to right.
Get it.
Oh, left this one. Okay, all right. So he was right. So, TJ Tijani, here in Houston. Originally born in Nigeria, grew up right here in Houston. Real estate investor. Been in real estate since 2015. Kind of been wholesaled. I've fixed and flipped. Long-term buy and hold. Started cutting my teeth pretty heavy in the Airbnb space in 2017, and now we dabble into the hotel space and the boutique hotel space. And now we're actually getting to development as well. So we're working on our first commercial development as well, and a few other things that we're tapping in on. So I'm excited.
My name is Cameron Jackson. I'm originally from Baton Rouge, Louisiana. I currently live in Houston, Texas. I'm a commercial real estate investor and residential real estate developer and investor. I've done a couple different things where in Louisiana, I opened up the first shipping container park. And now I've really just gotten to a lot of single family and multi-family deals. And social media has become huge as well. So I'm using that to leverage just different investments, networking, and different things like that. So that's what I got.
That's what's up.
Yeah, hello, my name is Gregory Thomas II from Marshall, Texas, Northeast Texas. Been in Houston since 2006. Been a real estate investor, developer, former agent, real estate agent, and now I'm in the commercial space. Been in the commercial space for horizontal and vertical development for like the last 2-3 years, and that's pretty much what I do.
Yeah, so I'm Oge Wadu, better yet known as Money Madu. I've been in real estate since 2014 or so. Used to be an engineer, but now I pretty much do this full time as far as like fixing and flipping. I'm also a mortgage lender, so if anybody needs a house, holla at your boy. And then pretty much, just a lot of things within real estate I've just been able to do, whether it's short-term rentals or, buying properties out of state or buying properties via auction. Been through a lot of trials and tribulations within real estate. So real estate's that one industry where, you can make a lot of mistakes, but make a lot of money at the same time. So
Bet. So let's get down to the nitty gritty. So what got y'all into real estate?
Oh man, hey, you want to take this one first?
Yeah.
My background is an engineer as well. So I graduated with a mechanical engineering degree from U of H, and did that. And it was tough because I had to put myself through school. And so when I graduated, one of my boys, he literally handed me a book, and he said, "Bro, I'll watch you hustle in school. You need to read this book." And you can probably guess what book that is. It's Rich Dad Poor Dad.
Yeah.
And so at the time, I was working offshore. I was an engineer working out in the field out in the Gulf of Mexico. I was what you consider a subsea installations engineer. So right at the face of the oil and gas economy, all the equipment that is used to build and produce crude oils and hydrocarbons subsea, I fabricated them, I installed them subsea. So I went offshore quite a bit, but it came at a cost, and I was gone all the time, like 67% of the year I was offshore. And I took that book with me offshore on a 3-week hitch, and I read it twice. And that was a light bulb moment for me. I was like, man, I need to get off this boat, this rig ASAP. I need to go buy some assets right now. And so that's what turned me on to real estate. And it's been literally, I started wholesaling. I started learning how to wholesale. Remember YouTube University? I started Googling a bunch of stuff, and I would work offshore. And you can imagine working offshore, your phone time, your internet time is quite limited. And so sometimes you don't have much internet at all to even call home. And you literally have to kind of stand in line, almost like a payphone, to call home, as people will be in line calling home, and I'll be in line trying to call sellers to convince them to sell me their property. And so that's how I kind of got into real estate, man. It's been real estate ever since.
Okay, bet. Cam.
Interesting. So for me, I got into it in college. So I was in college at the time. I had a clothing brand, and I was just wasting my money. I was playing football at this time at Coastal Carolina, and just wasting my money, just bullshitting a lot. And my mom was like, "You need to start worrying about your future and thinking about what you're gonna do." And she always did real estate, but I never really paid attention to it. And so she was like, "Let's go in on your first property. Let's house hack it, and then I'll show you basically the ropes." So I went in with her on that first property, and I started to see like that income coming in after I put in like a little bit of work. And I was like, damn, this is dope. Like, I really fell in love with it. So I'm still playing football at the time. My grandpa ended up giving me land in Baton Rouge, Louisiana, right downtown, near LSU. And there was a guy that had a snowball stand on it. So now I'm his new landlord. But my grandpa was never really on top of him about payments and things like that. So I'm in college. that $350 I was getting, I need that. I'm in college. I'm like, I'm on his neck. Like by the fifth come, he not no payment, I'm on his neck about
Not 350.
that 350, little snowball
Man,
stick,
a long
right?
way.
Right,
Yeah.
a really long way. So it taught me like, I really saw, okay, like the ownership, and I ended up evicting him. So like once I went through that whole process and like figuring out, okay, now I need to get this land to produce me more income. And then that's when I really got the idea to create the shipping container park. And then I dropped out of school literally like a couple weeks after because I had to pay for a summer class. My dad was like, that sounds like a shipping container. I was like, you know what? I'm about to be done with this. So I just left school, moved to Louisiana, and then started developing that. And then that's kind of really how I got into the space. And then from there, I was taking those profits and basically buying adjudicated properties, foreclosures, single families, and then, you know, doing a couple flips, new builds, just trying to like really find my way. And then I really just landed on buying properties, fixing them up, and then renting them out. So that's kind of how I really got into it. And now that's what I do more of long term.
Bet.
Nice.
Gee,
Great story.
I feel like I'm probably the oldest here in the group. But no, I started real estate back in like 2005 in the heyday when wholesaling wasn't even called wholesaling. You know, they had a market where you could state your income, you know what I mean, based on your credit. And so my cousin, that called me from Houston when I was in college. He was like, hey, man, we need to use your credit if it's good. Like, what's your credit? I'm a country boy. We just write checks and, you know what I mean, for paying bills and try to balance your checkbook. And so I'm just like, all right, you know, credit score probably 6 something, thinking low 6s. You know, people don't care about credit, you know, back in the day, like I said, college. So he ended up pulling it, was like 680. 680 was enough to get you a loan, state of doc. And so we had a group of people that I guess already had the properties lined up. You know what I mean? So they already had the comps on it. And we just ran the play like that. You can state your income. Like I said, I make 100,000. You can state your documentation. You know, when you fast forward and look at it now in hindsight, you know, it's nah. for camera purposes, we're not gonna implement it. But
Yeah.
I'm just saying, like, dang, like, okay, we can make, you know what I mean, 10, 20,000 a month. That sounds like good money, you know what I mean, when you're in college. So we ran that play a couple times, and I moved to Houston 2006 after I graduated. And once I graduated, I came here and I was working a corporate job, you know, still in the corporate sector. The market was crashing. And
My boy, you telling you was a banker, man.
Yeah, I was a banker. I used to work for WAMU, you know what I mean, which is one of the banks that crashed.
And Chase.
And Chase. And
he gave me my first business account.
Yeah. So my walk of life, you know, even through real estate and fast forwarding to the day, you know, having corporate jobs, is always, you know, I've always kind of had a knack for it. Like I've always just been immersed in the space, being an agent, selling homes, and being an agent before it became a thing where you see now everybody is a real estate agent. You see what I'm saying? Like everybody gets a real estate license, but I had a license like right when it was, you know, back to pop in 2012. And so once I did that, I still worked a part-time job. And after I got let go from the job after a few years, I'm like, I'm gonna just take it full time. Like, so 2015, I ended up, you know, buying a crib with a line of credit, flipping that house over in South Union, 77021 area. And then it just kind of took off from there. So I started flipping property after property with my own money, using cash. And then I never was a hard money person, but I understood how hard money could, you know, be beneficial because you're not having to use all of your capital at one time. And so I'm like, man, if I could scale on rehabs, let me see what I can do on new construction. But the thing people don't tell you, and I didn't have any mentors in that space, is that new construction takes a lot longer than the rehab. You know what I mean? Especially when you're dealing with the city of Houston. Permit department, you know what I mean?
Crazy.
Traffic, right of way, urban forestry. There's some things that you just don't know, you know what I mean, in real estate that you're going to have to encounter outside of just building the structure. Exactly. So I started dealing with that, you know, in different capacities and moved over to Fifth Ward. So I started doing the Fifth Ward area in 2020 where I did a couple of properties over there. They made out pretty good. And then I've been circulating in the area ever since. So I got like 3 more properties that I'm closing out on the residential, you know, side, and then I'm just strictly focused on commercial, you know, development. But just all in all, I mean, just hopping into that industry and being able to know about banking 101, being able to know about being a realtor and how the buy-sell process goes, and then just being an ultimate, you know, creative of, you know, construction and knowing what looks good, doing my own designs, handing it over to the architect so he can put it in CAD, and then having the engineer do the civil aspect. It's like you got the perfect picture, you think. And so the obstacles going up and down, man, is what made me as far as in this real estate industry. You know,
100%.
the experiences. No, definitely with the experience. And so I'm glad to be able to, you know, reach back to people and tell them what to look for and what not to look for. And so some people will probably put a price tag on it, but man, a lot of that stuff, man, you just pass on the game. Hopefully somebody passes it, you know, tenfold. So that's my in a rundown, you know, 15-year experience with real estate. So
Yeah.
With me, I've always been big on just ownership and just in general. So when I bought my first house, I was working out of West Texas. So I just graduated from UTSA, electrical engineering degree. And I was working at a buildings material company. So the people that make sheetrocks or wallboard, I was working at the company out there. And so I'm in a small ass town, 10,000 people. I was renting. I think my rent was like $700 a month, something like that. And I was like, I think by the time my lease was coming up, I was like, man, I might as well just buy a house. But I didn't know anything. I didn't know anything about buying a house. I didn't have any mentors or anything like that. So I literally looked up on Craigslist, saw a house it was recently renovated, going for like $65,000. And so I hit him up. I was like, hey, I'm looking to buy. I'll buy it for like $60,000. I don't know what I'm gonna go. I'm just saying a number that seems right. I don't know nothing about nothing. And so we agreed at $60,000. So went to the Bank of America, got me a loan. And so when they did the appraisal came back at $58,500. And so I went back to the sales like, oh, I'm not coming off the difference. Like, we gonna have to settle on this number. So we ended up settling at $58,500. So that even helped me save a little bit more money on top of that. And I think back then interest rates were like low threes or something like that. Right. So I got the house for cheap. I think my mortgage was like $500 a month, you know? And so that's kind of like my first encounter within like real estate. And during that time frame, you know, I was on BiggerPockets and stuff too. So I was just like, I didn't know it was called wholesaling until much later, but like the whole process of wholesaling, like I was trying to learn that, trying to test it. I never truly wholesaled a deal, but, you know, I was speaking to different people and the deals that I was trying to have fell through. But yeah, that, and then I want to say 3 months later, I got a job back out here at the refinery in Texas City. And so one of my managers, his wife was a property manager, a realtor. She connected me with a property manager. And from there, I think I was getting rent for like $800 a month. And that's my first instance of cash flow, understanding that you don't have to be at the spot and you can still make money off
very
of it. So
yeah.
I had that house for like 8 years, never been back since then, and made a lot of money. And I sold it recently after COVID. So everything was high. So it made sense. So yeah. So that's pretty much how I started. And then, like I said, pretty much every year since then, I either purchased a home to live in and rented it out, or purchased a home to kind of like fix up and then rent out. So I think my first project I fixed up, it was crazy. Found the dude on LinkedIn. So again, I used to work at a refinery. So every day I would see this old motel driving by and you know, driving by it. And it was like the location of it, it just, in my head, I was like, why is no one having this running? Because like, in a refinery, there's things called TAR, turnarounds. And so that means like people are working like 12-hour shifts
100%.
for a long period of time. So if you're closer to refinery, you need to be closer to refinery, you know? And so if you just rented that out, that's a money-making machine. So I look up who owns the property, come to find out the dude, he graduated from UTSA as well. So I reached out to him on LinkedIn. I was like, oh yeah, fellow rail runner, blah, blah, blah. I'm trying to buy your property. He was like, well, this one I'm not selling, but I have these other 2 properties. And so that's how I was able to get my first property to fix up through that. Bought that thing for like $50,000 in Lamarck. And that was my first process of understanding how contractors suck. You know, I lost a lot of money with that stuff, but I sued them. And so, just that process going all the way through, you know, pulling money to buy properties as well with other people that would have never purchased property. Bought a house out in Memphis. That one went pretty well. And then from there, just kind of like going into full-time, buying a house specifically to fix it up and then sell it afterwards. So
that's what's up. That's what's up.
Sure.
So being in the real estate field and flipping homes, I know it's I say nightmare stories. So like me, my first flip, 30 days, my contractor was like, yeah, well, I can flip it in 30 days. I got the house for 60. Ended up flipping it. I put 30. What I put it now? 30 to redo it. He literally got done in 30 days. But the mishap was the day we was for the close, someone stole the air conditioning. So you know what I'm saying? They stole the whole AC condenser. So I had to go back and do that. After that happened, we had that freeze. Pipes busting this way. So I'm like, what? You know what I'm saying? I'm like, dog, do I still want to do this? You know what I mean? But that was one of my hell stories with one of my flips. So what about you guys? What I know you have.
It's like
You know, it was interesting. You know, it was interesting. Madu, I don't even remember. There was a time when you earlier. It was in 2018. Actually, you came to one of my flips in the Bel Air area. That actually ended up being one of my worst real estate deal that I've ever done.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, and this is the property that flooded during Harvey, right? 500-year flood, first time it ever flooded in the Bel Air neighborhood. And the benefit for us is that this particular property was a one-story house amongst houses that were torn down and built 2 stories. Like these 2-story homes that were brand new were going for 1.5, 1.2, 1.6. And so there weren't that many 1-story houses in that neighborhood to where you could still be zoned to Bel Air High School and still be in that neighborhood for under 700,000 and 750,000. So we had that going for us to rehab one of the fewer 1-story houses. Now, on paper, we got the appraisal done. Everything looks great. We bought the property for $495. This is my first kind of higher end flip. I hadn't done a flip at this price point before, and purchased at $495. We're supposed to put $90K into the remodel. This thing's supposed to sell for $711 was the appraisal when it came back. We're going to list it for $695, $700K. This property, talking about bad contractors, the very first contractor I hired, literally phase 1, 15 bands to start the project. Never heard from him again. Walked. That's just how we started the project. Let's just pop it off. Let's go ahead and enter the project that way. And so, project ended up, we rehabbed it. Took us we anticipated about 4 months for the rehab. Took us 6, which wasn't too bad. But we ended up, this property sat for 2 years, and we're in a 12% interest hard money loan, $4,700 a month paying. At the time, thank God for my short-term rental business that was cash flowing nasty.
2 years.
Almost 2 years. It's set. Almost 2 years.
It registered.
It registered. Oh, and then on top of that, guess how much we sold it for? $537. I had to come to the closing table with $12,000.
You lost.
Just to get it sold. I had to come to the closing table with additional $12,000. So in my mind, when I run the numbers in my head, I probably lost north of 150, 180K of my own money. And but if I really put it on paper, it's probably over 200K if I really look at it. Now, here's the thing. My biggest mistake wasn't buying it. My biggest mistake was not finding a way to hold on to it, because I ended up getting rid of it, getting it at the tail end of 2019. I bought it. I closed on it December 2017. Ended up closing it in 2019. Then the property values shot up 2021. If I had found a way to hold on to it, I would have sold it for over $850. And so when they talk about buy real estate and wait, there's a reason why. And also, you also have to understand, you can run numbers and things can look away. Because trust me, if it didn't look buttoned up, we wouldn't have ran the play. But and you also have to understand, buyers at that price point were quite different at that price point. I'm talking about people coming to the house. Oh my God, I love it. Hate that window. I hate the handle on that window. I'm out of here. And like, oh, I love it. I don't like that tree. I'm out of here. Like, they're so picky. Like, I'll get rid of the tree. Don't worry. Like, we kept like this. It had like this nice classical old school windows that almost you had to spool out. We made everything super modern, but kept like that old artistic vibe with the windows. People came in there. Oh my God! Either they loved it or they hated it. And so we ended up just, after we listed it, going back, tearing out all the windows and putting brand new windows in.
Right, the crank windows. Huh?
Right, the crank. Yeah, exactly.
That still gives like a nice aesthetic too.
It does. It does, man.
For a person that likes that.
For a person that likes that, and if they hate it, they don't want to fool with it, right? Yeah. So, but yeah, that was probably the biggest L I've taken in real estate. But man, I mean, one of the things that I appreciate about my journey is the fact that we stayed in the game. And a lot of things that has happened were probably put out about 90% of people that was embarking on this journey. But staying in the game is really the true win. You either let your failure sit on top of you and say, "Woe was me," or you stand on top of it and figure out a way to triumph. And so, staying in the game. Then when we start running up the short-term rental bag up, and so yeah.
Man, to piggyback off of that, man, and I tell a lot of people, like, don't believe everything that you see.
100%.
We live in a instant gratification society. That's what people, they see what they see and they think, hey, I can go out and do this. But a lot of people aren't being transparent about the true numbers. It's like you said that you spent $200 out of pocket. Yeah, I'm just assuming that's probably the debt service plus whatever you spend out of pocket for the loss. People not doing bottom line numbers. Like when you look at the numbers, and even though the HUD says you made 90,000, you really in the red. You operate in the red. If you spent 200, then you really lost 110,000. You see what I'm saying? Even if the 90 came back to you, you still lost 110,000. So, we got to be careful about the stuff that we put out there and promote if it's not.
100%.
We're not giving the full, detail and transparency to people that want to jump in the industry and say, hey, you can make this type of money, but make sure you count every dollar.
Because everybody want to flip and do real estate, don't know the back end to it.
They don't know you need money.
Right.
You think you don't need money.
You need that money that you think you need and money behind that. You know what I mean?
Money behind that. And that's the crazy thing. It's like, man, that money in between the debt service, the permits, the the unforeseen, the theft.
Right.
Man, and we talk about experiences like, man, I when he was just saying, I was like, man, I got so many. I know you got worse, man, because I was over in Field Ward, so people see new money coming over. They're we finna get
100%.
We got them. You know what I mean? We finna take
I got
water hoses. Yeah, we're gonna take water hoses. We're gonna take.
I went to one of his properties. He got it secured like Fort Knox. I was like, what? Man, you don't know who he is?
I've been to a few.
I got a dude pressing me right now about putting the HVAC on, but I got to get my guy to make the cage, and he's like, hey man, I need to come put this HVAC up. Hey man, I don't need it to get stolen.
Right.
You worried about bottom line, which I get it, but. Give me some time. I said I could buy it. You could put it in my my garage. He really wants to land it to go ahead and close it out. I'm like, right now, I've seen some houses across the street. They ran through it. Literally, was like a shotgun house. They've stole everything from the windows to the doors to the toilet to the copper. I'm talking about like they've gone crazy on these properties. So we talk about spending money, man. Like I put that in the back of my mental, man.
Throw the whole house away.
Throw the whole house away. Even for our house, man, I spent like one of the guys that did the concrete was supposed to do the concrete. He took the down payment, $25,000. Found out when I didn't hear from him a few days later, he had to bond him and his brother out of jail. So he spent my $25,000, which was the deposit.
Now y'all got to bond me out.
Now you're right.
Because I'm going ham.
I'm still chasing him. You know what I mean? I'm still chasing. I'm like, bro, you speak no English? We're going to translate.
Cam, what about you, man?
So since he gave a building story, I'll talk about like a tenant nightmare, right? Because a lot of people don't understand that too, because tenants are like really the worst part of it sometimes, right? You get everything right, you get the property, ready to go, and you find a tenant and they move in and then they just like completely trash your house. So I've actually have two stories, but I'll tell the one that most recently just happened. So this is a property I have over on Cullen. It's a 3-bedroom house, and I had a tenant in there. My mom was actually the one that got the property and then let me have ownership of it. And so we had a tenant in there for about 8 years, this old white couple. They smoked cigs a ton. But they ended up dying in the house, right? So going in, all the cigarettes they smoked over all those years, I had to get all of that fixed, and they also didn't have any family, so we had to clear out everything, everything they had.
Like
I'm talking, it was crazy, like a casino. Literally, it was crazy, right? Like the smoke on the walls, like it was insane. So we had to clear it out, and after having that great tenant, I rent it out again. I fix it up so that I do the roof, I do the siding, new windows, new fixtures, really just do it nice, like almost like a flip. And I'm excited to get a new tenant in there and have a tenant that kind of like a red flag, but I got on the phone with her and I let my emotions get into it. And you never want to do that with real estate, I feel like.
Shit, with business.
Right, with business and everything, right? And I was like, you know what? She needed a place, but it's anybody that needs to move in somewhere quick is always a red flag. Yeah. And so she did the background check. Everything was looking good. Credit was good, but she had like a questionable rental history. And I ended up, I was like, you know what? You can move in. So let her move in. Some time passes and I need to go fix something at the house. So I go in the house and it looks like a trap house, like the way they have it inside. Like there's like one couch in the living room, like a TV, but there's like nothing else. Like there's just like roaches everywhere. They got this big old black dude sleeping on the couch with an ankle monitor on. I'm like, in there cleaning and fixing stuff up, like fixing up the kitchen, and he's not even waking up. Like he's in a deep sleep. So I'm in there like, something's going on in here, right?
On them perks.
They ended up not paying rent for a couple months. I'm like a good landlord, so I was like trying to work with her. And so after like 3 months, I was like, look, I got to evict you. So I ended up evicting the lady. And at this point, I'm out like maybe like 6,000-7,000. I ended up evicting her. And soon as I evict them and the day they're supposed to leave, I go there and they busted out all the windows. They took the stove, they took the microwave, they took the fridge. Just like you were saying, anything of value there, they took it all. They like flooded the house. They knocked holes in the wall and put like beer cans in them. They just completely trashed the house, right? So I ended up getting it fixed, and I was like, all right, well, you know, that's on me. I took the L. I was like, whatever. I get all the windows fixed. I get the house fixed. They come back after I fix everything and trash it again, right? And I took the L on it because I'm like, at the insurance, if it's not over a certain amount, they're not going to take care of it anyway. But I say all I have to say is just like picking the right tenant is such a key process. And like, you want to make sure like you're checking their Instagram, you're checking their Facebook, you're calling their old landlords, you're calling their sister. Like, you got to really investigate these people that you're going to put in these homes, because even though I was out that 3 months of rent, I ended up losing like even like 15, 16,000 just because of that.
Yeah.
And I'm at the point now where this happened, like this was a couple months ago. So I even still have the house boarded up right now, fixed everything on it, but I really wanted to like wait and give it time, because a tenant like this, that's why I kind of like going Section 8 route sometimes, or getting, like you were saying, purchasing a property that costs more so you can deal with better people. Because this instance, I can't do anything about it. Like,
I mean,
I'm
but
gonna
it's the
spend more
area
money.
too, though.
It's the area too that I have the property in, and that's on me. And I understand that, you know, the people that I'm dealing with at the same time. And I couldn't do anything about it. I couldn't sue them. I would have spent more money suing them. They don't have any property, so I can't go. They allowed them to have one car, so you can't go repo the car. They don't have a house that you can take. Like, there's literally nothing you can do. And so that's why sometimes I like programs, because at least you have somebody that has something to lose. A lot of times, if they don't have anything to lose, they're just gonna, you know.
Well, sometimes you got to take the law into your own hands.
And you do, and you know. But the bad thing about that is they know my Instagram, my social media. So like, they were watching me on my social media and like knew when I fixed the house, went and messed it up, and then like also it's like I try to be a good person too. So it's like I really didn't want that.
You ever heard that term, the nice guy always loses?
Yeah, I understand. We working some things out. We working some things out for that, but that ain't
take your feelings out of business.
You gotta take your feelings out.
Something important though, like anybody that's trying to move quick, red flag.
Red flag.
I've had those experiences, man. Like, yeah, you know, man, they're selling the house and I gotta be out. And, you know, my 30 days are up.
And a lot of times
overnight movers.
Overnight movers. And they do that too, because when you evict somebody and like it takes a little second to get on their record, so they can try to hurry up and go jump into another spot, and then they'll be good. And a lot of times now, even it's getting bad. Where good thing we live in Texas, because if we weren't in a landlord-friendly state, like we were in Cali, they're teaching people how to squat now. They have courses that these people can take to learn how to squat. So they'll come in your property and they'll squat, and now they in there for the rest of the year, paying no rent, doing nothing, trashing your apartment. You can't do nothing to them at all.
And
That's crazy.
it's a big issue.
It is something you can do.
There is something you can do, but
the choice is yours.
There are things you can do.
What's the app or the application where they allow you to pre-screen? I think I used it a few times.
I can't think of it. I know what you're talking about.
They'll tell you like good renter, bad renter.
Yep.
I think that's flawed too, man. Like I use that. They say, oh yeah, you can rent to them, and then you know you end up renting to them. And
trash.
Again, trash. Above a dub, man. Trash.
Tenants can be a downfall, but you just gotta screen them. You gotta have a process.
I hate them. I'm not gonna lie, bro. It gives me a eerie feeling not to know what they're doing. You know what I mean?
Then you want to put cameras in your spot and invade their privacy.
You don't know what they're doing at the house.
Right,
like you don't know, like you said, it looked like a trap house. You don't know if they really were cooking crack in the kitchen. Like, you don't know. So it's just like, I'm still held liable for anything that happens over here.
Yep.
And if you're renting from me 9 times out of 10, you're not gonna have the money to replace it.
Yeah.
Like you said, if I try to sue you, what am I suing?
You can't do
You know
nothing.
what I mean, you can't file a summary judgment on nothing. Nothing from nothing leaves nothing.
Right.
You know what I mean? So it's just it's bad, bro. It's bad.
So what's your bad experience, man?
I just told you.
You got
they were trying to, man. I got, man.
Yeah, we didn't call. We didn't talk on the phone a couple of times.
I've been doing this for
hey, man,
so
pull
long.
up, man. Come check out this
Man,
spot.
I just been doing this for so long. That's why I was just telling you I'm burnt out on it, man. It's just like I've had every experience, bro. Like
Yeah.
And I'm seeing them on camera. Like the robbers, they don't care. They'll wave at you in the camera. Because by the time you set the alarm or call the police, we know the police not showing up until an hour later.
Right.
After that, they done took 5,000-6,000 worth of inventory, and they lit it. I'm looking at them on camera. Put the 2x4s
stop,
over the fence.
stop.
They're putting the 2x4s over the fence, putting Hardy over the fence. I'm like,
You can't do nothing about it either. 'Cause
can't do
they're
nothing
long
about
gone.
it.
Man,
I've had to hire people to like sit there overnight, paying them $100, you know what I mean, $120 a night, and then as soon as they leave, boom, they kicking in the side. They gonna look at the cameras like, if it's a crackhead or just a straight up thief, like they will
Deer in the
outsmart-
head, like
they will outsmart you. Like they've already peeped the camera system. They know
professionals.
they know exactly how
They gonna
get
look
into your
at the
property.
camera.
Yeah, they gonna look at the camera or do this right here on that. When they come,
Yeah.
man, they broken in any possible way, like through the side, hopped the fence, knocked off pickets. I mean, it's
And they quick.
Yeah.
they're
In and out.
quick. They're quick.
Right. And I like how you said earlier about like how people get the information from social media and they see it and they like think that getting into real estate's easy. You don't need no money and these things. But like that's why like with mine, I like to show these
Right.
things that happen.
Yeah.
Like, look, man, this shit's good, but this gonna happen
Yeah.
to you. Like
No,
this
for
could happen to you for sure.
No, for sure.
People
It's
always
gonna
say-
happen.
Right, it's gonna happen.
I say like
Right.
showing hoods and all that. Yeah, that's cool, but you got to tell them the bad side.
Right.
I think the
100%.
best thing for a first timer or you want to get into it is to get with somebody like you guys.
Right.
You know, because it's always people, hey, yo, you know, put down a percentage and, you know, y'all do the flip together or something. Somebody you trust,
many
though.
ways,
Because it's
yeah.
a lot of people out here
But
scamming.
then you gotta be
And taking
careful,
people-
too,
yeah.
about taking money. Like
Take-
with
yeah.
investors, because an investor they're an investor. Like they don't understand the
Mhm.
process. They don't
Mhm.
care about the city
Right.
holding up
Mhm.
plans for 9 months,
Right.
10 months. They're like, hey, you said we were gonna be done 69 months. It's like, damn.
Yeah, and you
like,
got to
I
understand.
that, but here is the risk, and I tell anybody, when you get in real estate or any investment, it's an investment. There's gonna be a 50-50 ball, regardless. You could win big or you could lose big. If you win big, cool. It's
Okay.
champagne bottles, we popping bottles. But when you lose big, who's gonna really take accountability? You know what I mean? Say, hey, we took the loss. Because you can do all the preventative measures, take all the preventative measures to make sure that you did what you're supposed to do.
Mhm.
But monetarily, like, man, it's like, hey, for me and the relationship that we have, even if this deal went bad, I'm gonna still try to make sure I get you.
Right,
money.
right,
But
right.
that's just me just standing.
No, that's
there.
the one thing about him. He didn't hit me about, hey, I got this deal over here in Fifth Ward. You put this down, blah, 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 this, that, and the other. But
But
this right here, it may take 6 months, may take
it may take-
and I'm gonna hit him with, man, I could go buy a brick and get that bitch
I
back
know,
in a
man.
couple of days. What is you talking about?
Yeah, but it's
But-
just like you just gotta be leery about it.
Yeah,
Like,
so-
people that you take money from,
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Because there's a lot of people
Everybody
that they
wants to-
need money.
They need money. It's like a person that needs money.
You don't
want
They
to do
don't-
business
when
with
they
them.
become desperate.
Yeah.
Hey, it's finished yet? It's done yet?
Yeah.
It's done
Yeah,
yet?
it's
Hey,
like-
I rolled by there. Why they don't got the windows up?
They got a dude that just scammed like 11 million out of that fund. I don't know if y'all saw that.
Oh, Jay Morrison.
I think that's his name.
Yeah, man, I was telling you about, man, bro. I was telling bro when he
Yeah.
was on the block, having people come see. I'm like, first of all, you got people on the block sweating out their shirts. You know what I mean? You gonna take them to eat on their dime? Like, come on, man. That's
Yeah.
that's nasty.
He just scammed some people.
That's nasty work. Yeah,
That's
and he
insane.
bought the crib. He
Oh,
bought the
man.
crib. I think
Yep.
he bought like that crib on all that acreage.
Yep,
And,
yep.
You know what I mean? Now the
Mhm.
SEC is getting involved because you took, you know what I mean, those funds and you commingled them. You spent it on this building and think somebody else was buying the building that it had too.
Yeah.
But just got to be careful, man. with
Be
how
careful who you
how
invest
to-
with. Yeah.
How to use them. I think I've came to TJ's property and you had like we may have like a private investor at the
Mhm.
time. The one that was over there off of Liberty, I think.
In the tray, or off of Lions.
Off of Lions,
Yeah.
yeah, off of Lions. That was a nice property. I was
Fifth
just like,
Ward.
man, how you going about? He was like, I got a private investor, XYZ. You know what I mean? This is
Mhm.
with a return, but you had to have that relationship.
Got to.
Whatever your relationship is, and the communication that's big. Like a person that feels like they can't trust you because you're not communicating with them, that's gonna be the person that will pound you down. You know what I mean? So it's just like got to be careful with anybody that you deal with. You know what I mean? In business or like I said, taking
100%.
money or exchange.
100%.
So what about your hell story, man?
I mean, I'm gonna keep it on the lighter end. I'm gonna just say more so due to market shift. Like
Okay.
on my first like true flip, like I did the full blown renovation. Like the house that was there, like existing, I pretty much tore that thing down to the studs and then added everything brand new. And so again, this is
That's a
probably,
good feeling though, right?
Oh, when
Oh,
you
man,
see
when
it,
you see
when
it,
you see it at the angle,
All,
like, man,
yeah, you see the just the studs. You walk in, he's like,
Vision
I
comes
think I
true.
showed him my first one, man. I was just like, man, I want to move in here. You know, I don't want to live in the neighborhood, but it's like, yeah, I just switched the shower up. I did,
100%.
yeah.
So this is my first, because it's an addition, like I had to get new plans, permits. This is my first time dealing with the city of Houston in regards to permits.
Yeah.
So, this is my first time using a hard money loan.
Mm.
So just